This is the Non-Typical Nation podcast with your hosts, Brody and Erik.
Let's talk hunting and absolutely everything else that goes with it.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. What is going on, Erik? Where are all of these deer coming from?
I don't know. They're coming from the deep bush here in Alberta, though.
We've got deer coming in left, right, and center at the shop, and I don't know where they're coming from. I've spent 160 hours in the stand, and I've seen a few, but I haven't had any great chances. It is frustrating.
Well, I've spent probably equal as much time, if not a little bit more this year in the bush, and I haven't seen anything quite as big as we've seen in the last couple of days, that's for sure.
Yeah, but you got one.
I did. I got one.
You got one.
I got a nice old buck. Yeah, he's not nothing crazy, not exactly what I was looking for, but the opportunity came.
Yeah.
And opportunity is a little bit more important to me than antler size.
Without a doubt, man. It's the 22nd today. We're counting down the days to the end of the Alberta whitetail season. And, oh man, it's crunch time right now. If you have an opportunity at a buck, you got to take it. Unless you're holding out for a giant and you know that giant's around. I've got a few big ones around, but I'm not holding out for frickin' anything but just an average size buck. If I have a chance at a few points on either side, I'm taking it. It's too late now. You can't be picky. And I'm even thinking of putting the bow away and just taking out the rifle. Yeah, that's how frustrated I am.
You got to fill the freezer, man. You got to get them deer down.
Well, I don't even know if it's about filling the freezer. We got the moose the second day of archery season, and that was awesome. My first moose, got it with the bow. Second day of archery season, that was an extra, and I am pumped about that. But, you know, deer meat is deer meat. It isn't bad. It's good. I don't mind it. But yeah, we do need roasts, not so much the ground meat. But man, I want to get a buck. You know, last year got a little one. Year before got one with Jackson. That was special, but it's still, you know, 100-inch whitetail. Nothing really, nothing to brag about. Yeah, I was sure this is the year. And you know what? I had an opportunity last Sunday. I wouldn't necessarily say it was an opportunity, but I almost had an opportunity.
Well, you had the buck in front of you, man. It was an opportunity. The thing is, the deer's got to make a mistake too, right?
Yes. In front of me is a bit of a stretch. I got to tell that story.
Yeah.
Let me tell this story. Okay. So it was last Sunday. I don't know what the date was. I usually get up in the morning right around 5:30, 6 a.m., tiptoe out of the house so the wife doesn't hear me, the kids don't hear me. And I got to tell you, a 9-month-old baby is more alert than a whitetail in his own bush. You got to tiptoe out of the house with fucking socks on. And if you get out without a little cry or anything, you are golden. Then you just bullet down the road and you get to your deer spot as soon as possible.
What are you doing sitting in a deer stand then? You should be still hunting. You should be walking around.
Okay, yeah. So let's get back to this. So anyways, I get in the truck, sipping my coffee, get to the deer spot. It is pitch black. I try and get there a half hour before legal hunting time. So it's still pitch dark out. I think it's 7 a.m. Get out of the truck, get to the stand, and I got to rewind. Sorry. I get out of the truck, and two drunk teenage girls come wandering down the road, and I'm 9 kilometers from town, and I seen a truck when I turned in, and I'm like, okay, we'll see what's going on, like what's the deal. And so I see him walking down, and I'm like, hey, because I wanted to be the first one to start the conversation. I don't know what these people are doing coming towards me. And then, so I see their 2 teenage girls come. I'm like, okay, I have nothing to worry about. And they asked me if I was stuck. I said, no, I'm not stuck. I'm going hunting. I had rattlers around my neck. I had my bow. So what was your first clue, right? So anyways, they're like, well, our friends are stuck and we're stuck. And I'm like, well, what are you guys doing out here? It's 7 a.m, pitch black. And they're like, oh, well, you know, we're partying out here. We're drinking. And, our friends are being idiots and they got their truck stuck. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go hunting. They're like, yeah, well, we're going to try and see if we can get them out. So I'm like, okay. So I scurry into the stand, get up in the stand. By this point, it's 7:20, 10 minutes till legal hunting time. So I'm getting excited, right? If something's going to come in, usually it's early on. And sure enough, a buck 40 yards to the right of me comes right in. He's scraping like crazy, but he's looking to the trail where the road is. And these kids are walking down the road, yapping and yelling. And I'm like, these kids are going to blow it. They're going to screw it. They made me late coming to my stand, and now they're going to scare this buck away. And then they carry on. So the sound was gone. The buck was alert, but then he calmed down. I'm like, okay, this is it. Slam dunk. He's going to come in front of me. I was filming it. He was to the right of me. My camera arm's on the left of me. So I needed him to come in front because I couldn't film him from where he was. He was there for 10, 15 minutes, and he started walking away. I grabbed my Smith game calls, let out a doe bleat, looked at me. He wanted to come to that doe. He heard that doe. But what he did is he went downwind. So he went behind me, and what I needed him to do was come all the way around and then onto the trail. So he came around, but he was behind the tree line. And at this point, he was even farther. He was 50 yards away. And, he started sort of taking some steps the other way, and I tried letting out some grunts, some bleats, and he wasn't having it. He never smelt that doe. I never had any scent or anything on me. I ran the ozonic, so I don't think he smelt me. But, he wasn't convinced, and he slowly wandered off. And that was like a 45-minute time span. And like I said, I thought it was a slam dunk. As soon as I seen him and I thought he was coming my way, I'm already planning what I'm going to do with this deer, what kind of cuts I'm going to get, who I'm going to text first. And that's my problem. I get ahead of myself. And I'm almost a little superstitious because I think it fucks with my odds.
Yeah. Well, you can't be counting your stakes when you
that's what I do, man.
Sure.
That's what I do. And it's, I think what it is, it's the anticipation of getting a buck. Like I said, 160 hours in the stand. And at that point, that was Saturday. So that was Sunday. So I hunted Sunday, hunted Monday. So at that point I had 140 hours in the stand. And this was the moment I was waiting for, and it didn't happen.
Well, but you know what you do when you're sitting in the stand for all those hours? You play that over and over and over again in your head, from the rattle or the grunt or the bleat to the frickin' footsteps in the leaves.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden, oh, there's a buck.
Yeah, well,
and
that's...
then it's coming into play, but, they have to make a mistake too.
Exactly.
And 9 times out of 10, they don't walk in your shooting lane.
Oh, I know.
And that's what makes it so much fun. That's why we do it. We don't go out to go killing. We go out to go hunting, and there's a reason. There's something wrong with us. We spend that much time out just trying to get something. And
yeah, and this whole tree stand thing this year. The fact that you're stuck in one tree all day long. If I'm going to sit in the stand, I'm going to sit all day. If I'm going to commit to go to that stand and spend 4 hours in the morning, I'm going to spend the other 5 hours to sit the rest of the day. And, once you hit that 4th and 5th hour, you start going nuts. I listen to a podcast that helps a lot. But time just starts going slower and slower and slower. And by the time you get to your 6th hour, you wonder, why do I do this? Why am I sitting here? Last time I never seen anything. The time before I seen one doe. The time before that, I never seen anything. Why am I doing this? But as soon as I leave that stand, get home, I open my phone the next morning and my cellular camera has already texted photos of bucks to me. So that's why I do it. I hope that I can pull a buck out, rattle one, just bring one in, pull him out of his daily routine. If he's 100 yards away, 50 yards away, just try and pull him into my little shooting lane. And I guess that's why I do it. That's why I tell myself. That's why I'm going back there tomorrow and probably Sunday if I don't get one tomorrow. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well, you know what? I got caught twice in the last 10 days with basically my pants down. And one was my buck. And I got him. I got the gun on him, but I didn't get the camera on him. And the other one was the one that she missed. And that buck totally caught us with our pants down. She was all bundled up, had her gloves and everything on. The gun was sitting beside her. It wasn't even loaded yet. We had been there for an hour. And I'd rattled a few times already. And then all of a sudden, in the sunshine, here's this, stud of a buck.
Yeah.
Standing perfectly broadside at like 45 yards, exactly where I told her would be perfect when we sat down in the blind. It'd be perfect if one was standing right there for you. He's standing there and we got our thumb up our ass, basically.
And sometimes when you're sitting in the stand after or in the blind after that 5th and 6th hour, you almost hope that you have a missed opportunity over not seeing anything.
Yeah.
But when you have that missed opportunity,
it hurts.
It hurts so bad, and it
hurts.
It reminds you that no, those missed opportunities, you don't want them. You're almost better off to not see anything. I'm starting to think than have a missed opportunity where you're heartbroken about it.
You know what? Those missed opportunities, if you fuck them up, you're not gonna fuck them up again.
That's true.
If you make a real blatant mistake and like if you got lazy and you just went, you knew the wind was blowing one way. And you seen a deer on one hill, you knew if you went at it straight at it, you'd get winded, and you did it anyway, and you blow that buck out of there. You're gonna learn from that.
That is so true. You got to learn from that sort of stuff, and even me going in tomorrow, I'm bringing some artificial doe piss with me, covering myself in it, putting it on my shoes, hanging some strips in the bush on the way in, and hopefully I don't have the same issue I had last time.
You learn from your mistake. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. It hurts so bad, man. Like that elk this year, I had a missed opportunity on an elk. Again, I don't know if I'd call it an opportunity, but I blew it. We were elk hunting for day 1. We heard 15 gunshots. Day 2, we heard 13 gunshots. We were bugling with a couple bulls, but nothing crazy. It was a highly pressured area. Day 3, we're hanging out on a hillside, drinking some coffee, talking about how much this hunt sucks. Get back on the trail, see some fresh tracks, follow them in, and this bull stood right up and bugled right at us as soon as we were in his kitchen. We were right there. He wasn't making a peep because there were so many hunters in there, but the issue was the willows and the bushes were up to his eyeballs. Yeah. Up to his eyeballs. And, I had a small window to shoot through. And I shouldn't have taken the shot. Now, thinking after the fact, I should have tried to sneak up before he closed the distance or whatever, right? But they sting. And, I think that's also why when I'm sitting in the stand, I'm going to bring the rifle just to increase my odds a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, you're cutting down on the variables, right?
And at this time of the year,
you got to do it.
You got to do it. And, the filming thing is so important for me. I've said time and time, a whitetail, if I don't get it on film, I'm probably not going to shoot it. I want to get that sucker on film. I want to share it with everybody. So that's the plan. So I'll probably go in tomorrow with the rifle. Yeah, bright and early. Hopefully not run into any drunk teenagers that are potentially going to scare all the deer.
Ain't that a bitch, eh? I don't know how many times we've gone hunting and just seen drunk teenagers.
Never.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and the thing is, I never see vehicles at this spot that early in the day. And I seen this truck. I'm like, okay, they're hunters. I got to get to my stand. So I drove by the truck. There was no one in it. And parked my truck, and then I see these 2 people walking towards me. So I got a little nervous at first. I'm like, okay, what's going on? So that's why I made the first point of contact. And it was these teenage girls wondering, I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, you guys already heard the story. We don't need to get back into that. But why is everyone killing giant bucks, showing them to us, posting them on Facebook, bragging about them?
Hey, you know what? Some of those bucks are our boys in Saskatchewan, though.
Yes. Yeah. They have been killing it. And, even like every I'm pretty sure everyone's got a deer on the Non-Typical Nation crew except for me.
Yeah, except you. Yeah, Charlie got one the other day.
Charlie got one. He got it with a bow. That was cool. Got it on film.
Paul got one in Saskatchewan.
Paul got one. You got one. Tommy, of course, he got a giant.
Yeah, Tommy's a killer.
Jordan got one. Everyone got deer.
Yeah.
Actually, I think me and Cody are probably the only ones right now. Cody will get one, though. I'm not worried about him. I'm just worried about myself.
He'll get one, too.
I hope so, man.
You got some.
I hope so. I'm going to go tomorrow, so Saturday, Sunday, and then next Sunday, is the final day of the or next Saturday is the final day of the season. So I'm going to go Friday and Saturday again. If we get a buck this weekend, knock on wood, hopefully we do, then maybe we'll try and fill a couple doe tags.
Yeah, there you go.
But again, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, well,
I always do this, man.
you got to be excited. You got to be optimistic. You
Yeah.
You can't just be like, oh, I'm not going to get one.
I know. I'm very optimistic. Very optimistic. But yeah, it's, and that's what the real kick in the balls is around here at the taxidermy shop is you see giant bucks all the time. Because what is someone going to get mounted?
Yeah.
They're going to bring in 160, 170, 180, 190 inch whitetail because that's what they want. That's what they want hanging on their wall.
That's right.
And then when we shoot a deer, we think it's a baby because we see all these giants around here. And when people are bringing in deer every day, it's like they just fall from the sky.
Yeah.
But at least where I hunt, they don't fall from the sky.
We're totally in a vacuum here, though.
I
Right?
know.
Like we're one of the best taxidermists here in northern Alberta, and you get so many big whitetail. I mean, if you can see out the window right now, you look at that wall hanging out there.
I know, and that's what the killer is, and that's like Dave. Even you'll shoot I'll shoot a 130 inch whitetail that I'm pumped right up about, and it's a baby.
Yeah.
Like why? I'm like, well, no, you see 170, 180 inch whitetails every year, so this is a decent whitetail.
And
this is an average
Dave's
whitetail.
seen a million whitetails.
Yeah, so he's got very high standards. He'll never kill anything. But yeah,
I even felt that when I got my buck, though. Like I didn't get a real good look at him because I actually heard him, and he was just leaving my window.
Yeah.
As I heard him, and I saw he had some good bone on his head, and I pulled the trigger. And when I walked up, he was bigger than I thought he was. But then I was like, that, compared to what I've been working with the last 3 days.
Yeah, you got to ignore that, and I've learned that you just gotta.
Yeah. Well, you're just in a vacuum here, right? That's all you see is big shit.
And you know what? And the way I hunt, just to kill something, I'm over the frickin' moon.
No, me too. Yeah, the
so you know what?
is everything.
Like even the bears, this year I shot an average bear. It was an 18.5 inch skull on it, and we've shot 19s, and you know what? This year I passed on. Well, I never passed on the bear the day before, but I was with. And we missed our opportunity. My brother came with me the next time. We got it all on film. He got to experience it with me. So that was super special. One of the most special bear hunts I've had, despite the size. I've mentioned this to a lot of guys here at the shop too. My elk, the big elk that I got, probably the biggest animal I've got and might get for a while, is very low on the list for animals that are special to me or hunts that are special to me. And that's just because it was sort of a gimme. I just got to the area. I hiked out 20 minutes and there they were. But my mule deer that I got that season, I hunted my ass off all season. Final day I got him and he's like 100-inch buck.
Yep.
And that one means so much to me.
Yep.
So even you with your deer, you've put in a lot of time. You got it on your guys' property, your grandfather's property. You shot it with a 100 and how old's that rifle?
It's 103 years old.
103-year-old rifle that was handed down to you. That is so special. That's awesome. So you know what? The size of that animal, it means very little. But to me, it's about shooting an animal that at least has bred and is somewhat mature.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I was so happy when I seen his bases were big and heavy.
Yes.
And that he was an old deer,
Yes.
And he was all scarred up in the face and his neck was all bruised up, and he'd been working hard, but he'd definitely been able to spread his genes around the last few years.
Yes. And that's, that's super cool. And that's what it's all about, right? It's about shooting something that, that's already bred, that's already, lived a life. Yep. And you know what? If I have an opportunity as a spiker, I wouldn't take it. I just won't at this point. If I hadn't shot anything all season and needed meat on the last
if you're a little
day,
hungry, for sure.
you got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it. And don't get upset at that guy that does it because he might only be able to get out once or twice a year, right? But, like me and you, we've spent a lot of time in the bush this year. I've got a moose. You guys got a few does. So you don't need to shoot that spiker. You can shoot
that's right.
a 3-year-old deer or whatever, right? So, yeah, I'm praying, man. I'm praying. Like, I want to use the bow so bad. Those APA bows shoot so nice. I got this new one like 3 months ago, and it shoots like a dream. I want to use it so bad. But, you know, if I would have had a rifle last week with that buck, I could have got him.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but you know
and
what?
I don't want to have that missed opportunity
You
again.
might go out tomorrow and shoot something way bigger and be like, you know what? If I had the rifle last weekend, I would have been done.
That's
right. I'm
yeah.
almost overly optimistic
Yes.
most of the time.
Yeah.
And it I think.
But I won't
It
think
might drive
that
me
way.
crazy one day.
Yeah.
But because I'm always like, I'll have the worst day hunting. I'll get stuck. I'll break shit. I'll not see a damn thing. I know. I'll get followed around by wolves all day. And then the very next, like even that night, I go to turn my alarm on. I'm like, okay, I gotta, you know, because you want to grip and grin. You want to see.
Yeah.
You just don't know what you're gonna see ever, right?
No, you don't. But you know, at that moment last Sunday, that's not a positive moment until I take something down. Once I put something on the ground, then I'll be like, okay, that was meant to be. Right now, I'm still pissed off about that.
Well, then you look at your whole season, right? Once you're done, then you're like, okay, yeah, you know what? I've learned from it.
Yeah.
And I've not learned from it. I've had a good time with some of
Yeah.
it. You know?
Yeah, learning a lot, man. And that's what it's all about. Like those guys who kill giant deer and elk.
They do a consistency.
And they're usually in there. They're usually got about 15 years on us.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're rookies.
That's right.
Rookies.
Yeah.
Fucking
Amateurs.
green. Yes. But we love it, and we love sharing it with everyone, and that's why we do it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's super special to me to share those, you know, whether it be a duck and goose hunt or a bear hunt with other people. I just, I love it.
Yeah, the best hunts for me are my long trips, and that's just because it's usually not solo.
Yeah.
And so there's people with me, and you go through some tough shit, and you see some cool shit, and you kind of just it puts life into perspective for you.
Yeah, well, you guys go on some pretty fun and cool adventures up in the mountains for
the sheep
over a
hunts
week
are
at a
fun.
time.
That's
Yeah.
definitely my most memorable of all
Yeah.
of my hunts. And I've never even seen a ram on a sheep.
Well, you have just not
I
legal
have, just
rams.
not where I could
Yeah.
shoot them or
A lot of
anything like
goats.
that. I did see a lot of goats last year. I didn't see any goats this year.
No, none this year?
No, I didn't see any goats this year. I saw about half as many sheep this year, and I did see a legal ram, but he was on the highway.
Yeah. Wow. So you putting in for that lottery goat tag for that zone?
Yeah, I always put in.
What do they go at 6 tags for the whole province?
Something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know where to go if you get one.
Huh?
If anybody gets a mountain goat tag for what zone?
I don't know what.
He's not even telling us the zone.
Actually, you mean the
just
zone
send
that I
Erik
was
a
in?
message.
Yeah, just send me a message. Yeah, I'll tell you where there's some goats.
That's awesome, though. Just the amount of goats you've seen.
Well, we've seen
12 goats or 13 goats.
13 goats, and they were all together.
Yeah.
And then we've seen one on one of the scouting trips too. He was a solo.
Yes.
Yeah. We did see a little band of 13 there.
Yeah, that is too cool.
Yeah. They're a long ways away.
Have you heard anything on how the goat population is doing in Alberta? Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't.
No.
Well, you know what? We talked to, I think he was a fisheries guy.
In that zone, that area?
Yeah, when we came out on that trip. Yeah, right at the trailhead, we spoke to a guy. And he said that he had heard that they were doing really well lately.
Wow.
And, I mean, I'm not surprised there was, at least where I was, there was lots of goats.
Have you heard that they are debating whether or not they should put trophy bighorn sheep on draw?
I've heard, it's a bit of a controversy.
Yes.
I think. There's a lot of sheep controversy. There's a lot of drama around the sheep.
Do you think it'd be a good thing if they did?
Well, you know what? There's places you got to work really hard to go find a ram. And where we went last year, we saw 4 groups of horses. This is before the outfitters can go in even.
Okay.
This is the opening week that's just for residents.
Oh, okay. So
outfitters can't start till September 1st.
Wow, I did not know that.
That's right. They can't even trail in till then.
Holy smokes.
So
they can't go in with their horses, set up camp a week in advance. Wow.
So they're going in the day we were coming out. And we were in there like the 21st, 22nd was when we got in. And so opening day is the 25th of August. and there was 3 groups of horses. One group of horses came up behind us. There was at least 6 other vehicles.
Wow.
People just walking, biking, whatever,
Yeah.
just into the trailhead. We saw a group of 3 people up on the mountain. Chatted with them. They hike in 2 days, camp for 2 days, and then hike out.
Yeah.
That's all they stay. We were there for 10 days, and we didn't see anybody after that.
And that's why I almost like the success rate for sheep.
It's so low.
It's so low. And that's
low.
why I think you almost have to have a general tag. Because if you have a lottery, or not a lottery, even a draw with point system, if a guy waits 5 years, gets his tag, he's got 1 shot.
And he might be a fat shit in 5 years. He might not be a sheep hunter.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know, aside from the point, like what you could wait 12 years for antelope, but because the success rate is so low for sheep, if you want to harvest a certain amount of sheep each year, I almost think you would need to have that general tag. Because if you go with your draw, a guy's got 1 shot 1 year, that's it. And your success rate is going to be super low, I think.
Well, and yeah, that's the thing is it's
But
so low. It's so low already. Yeah, it's just so great that we live somewhere where we can. You can just buy a general tag.
Oh, it's awesome.
Go work your ass off. And like
I've never done it, and it's freaking awesome. I love it.
We walked to a place last year where when we ran into the 2 outfitters we ran into on the way coming out said we were totally crazy for having to walk back there on foot. Like both of them said, like, you guys got back there backpacking?
Yeah.
Like that's a horse. That's an old horse camp sort of deal. Right? So and there's no sheep from between the trailhead and there, and we didn't see any rams. We saw 130 ewes, so you know
that's crazy.
In any given year there could be definitely rams
well,
there.
There's somewhere those ewes are getting bred.
You know what? And then we met with one of the outfitters was filming a hunt for Sitka, and they had a crew of some world famous sheep hunters with them, and they saw the exact same thing that we saw.
Wow.
Use
and they hunt.
Use.
An outfitter, you said, had Sitka guys.
He's a BC and Alberta.
And he
outfitter.
hunts that area regularly. Like that's his spot.
I think he's fairly new to the area.
Okay.
But he's it's Dustin Rowe. He's a world famous. I think he's killed over 130 sheep just himself as a guide.
Wow.
And and that number could be wrong, but it's in the hundreds for sure.
Wow.
And he hunted sheep all over the world.
Yeah.
Like from Mexico to, I think he owns an outfit in BC, and he outfits here in Alberta.
Unreal, eh?
And
so obviously he has.
I mean, there's sheep around. The point is,
yes.
In that area there is sheep around. But even what I'm saying is the best of the best. Sometimes there's just not in the cards.
Yeah. So how do you feel about? Do you think just it's got to be general?
I think as long as whoever's job it is to count the populations and do what they can, and of our mammals, our huntable mammals here in Alberta, sheep are probably one of, I could be totally blowing smoke out my ass, but sheep are probably one of the easier animals to actually count populations of.
That makes sense.
Just by air, right?
Aerial survey for sure. Yeah.
And they're in open country, they're fairly visible, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if they're doing their job right, and they consider the population healthy enough to hunt, and they allow a certain quota of if it's in a general zone, they allow a quota of success, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to register every sheep, so they know how many sheep get taken every year. Exactly. They know the exact number of sheep taken every year from every zone, every date, every area you get it from. They know exactly where it happens.
Yeah, you gotta hope, right? Like I put a lot of faith in biologists.
Yep, me too.
A lot.
I do too, and I don't know.
If they tell me that if they tell me that I have 2 doe tags and 1 buck tag for this zone, I am probably going to try and fill those tags every year, which I am. I haven't tried a doe yet, but if we get a buck down, we're gonna try and fill our 2 supplemental tags. So yeah, we put a lot of faith in those biologists. So you just gotta hope that.
Well, if they're doing their job right,
that's just it. That's exactly it. But then you have those guys that are like, no, I'm never shooting a doe, or I'm never shooting a doe because I want a healthy deer population, or I'm going to draw a cow moose tag just to have in my pocket to not shoot, just so one person doesn't shoot a cow moose
You're
tag.
talking deer and moose. There's a ewe or a non-trophy sheep tag.
Yes.
That you can get in a few places here in Alberta, and that's very controversial.
Yeah, so people are...
Because you can shoot a ewe.
Yes.
As far as I know, you can
But that-
shoot a ewe or an unmature ram.
Yes. But again, those biologists, man, they're giving out those tags for a reason,
Well, it's
I
not
think.
everywhere. And the mountains are divided into, I wish I had a map in front of me, but the mountains are divided into multiple different zones,
Yeah.
and then subzones in some of them.
Yeah.
And they all have their own regulations.
Yeah.
And they all have their own, I would imagine, have their own population surveys and everything.
Oh yeah. Oh, obviously, for sure they do. Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's managed and micromanaged but properly,
Yeah.
and then I put my faith in the
Yeah.
biologists.
Yeah. Well, that's all you got. You got to, right?
Because you know what? I spent 10 days in the mountains and I didn't see a single ram, but if they tell me there's a healthy enough population to hunt it, then
Well,
I believe 'em.
if you're seeing 130 sheep
Yeah.
on your first ram hunt, going in pretty much
blind.
blind, there's sheep.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And there's a huntable population.
Yes.
A healthy population.
Yeah. Man, I wish I could go on a sheep hunt right
You just gotta
away.
make the time,
Like
dude.
even this this next September or August, yeah.
We'll go.
I know I won't because
we'll go
we've
sheep
got
hunting and then we'll go straight to mule deer hunting.
no, we can't. We got elk. We got to
You
do.
can't miss elk.
We got to do that archery elk. I went in this year, the second week of rifle, and it was too late, man. Those elk had been shot at, bullets flying everywhere, guys root tooting down every single trail. I think, well, after talking with Stephen Smith of Smith Game Calls, he made it quite clear to me, man, you got to go. You got to be that first bugle in the bush. You got to go there end of August, second week of that archery season to, get on those bulls early. And that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I
So
hunted.
you're going to be sheep. Are you sheep hunting again this year?
I am. Yeah. This year.
We're 9 months out, but let's talk about this.
Okay. Well, let's start at this season. So this season I went sheep hunting.
Yes,
right?
let's do that.
I went the 21st or 22nd, and we went up for 3 days, something like that. We went up for 2 days, and on the second day, Katie got hurt and had to come back down.
That's a killer, man.
Right on
That's too bad for
opening
her.
day, she got hurt, and
How far? Where were you guys?
we were a day's walk in. So she didn't hurt herself bad enough. It was a back injury.
Yeah.
And she had injured herself earlier in
And
the
she's
summer.
carrying a heavy pack.
Yeah, she's carrying
40 pounds,
she's carrying
30 pounds?
40 pounds, yeah. That's
Wow.
in, right? So we got up the mountain, and it was opening day that next morning. And yeah, because we had messed around. We got held up real bad, and they were doing some work on the trailhead and stuff. We couldn't get in for a day or two.
What were they doing?
They were I actually don't know. They were flying some stuff with helicopters back and forth right around the trailhead. We couldn't get in. But anyway, we went up the day before, so the 24th. And then that evening, she felt a tweak in her back right when we sort of started to make camp. And we talked about it, and she tried to stretch it out, and she figured she would just see sort of how she felt when she woke up, knowing that we were planning to go 2 more days in before even really, setting up a base camp.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be gone for 10 days. And it wasn't any better in the morning. It got a little bit worse. So we decided we better take it down. And on the way down, it's probably one of the hardest things ever just to turn around, especially after you climbed up the mountain on opening day of sheep hunting.
You got to do it though, man.
And you're coming down.
Yeah.
But you know what? She can't sacrifice something like that.
No.
And to come out, with possibly like a 60, 70 pound pack if we got a sheep, there'd be just no way. And the only way, if she did hurt herself bad enough she couldn't walk would be a helicopter, and that's just not feasible. So you got to take your losses and be safe about it. So anyway, I went back up for a couple days by myself and didn't really see anything, couldn't go too far. And immediately when I got home, I went elk hunting for 2 weeks. And I was in that September 3rd, 4th until about the 15th. And I think on the 14th and 15th, I finally had some action. And I had a few run-ins with elk, throughout the weeks before, but no real bugling opportunities.
So your 10th, 11th day, and you
Yeah, I finally. Well, you know what? I learned so much this elk season, though. Like it took a long time just to find the elk and sort of figure out what I was doing wrong, what I was doing right, and hunt with a couple different people and sort of see how they did it and figured it out. And I think next year I'm gonna kill an elk.
That's so important, man. Going out with other people. Sometimes you got to swallow your ego and be like, you know what? You don't know everything. Yeah. You should go with someone better than you.
Yeah.
And you know what? I went with Steven with Smith Game Calls, and man, he is the elk whisperer. Yeah. We had elk bugling at us, and he knew what those elk were telling us. Yeah. We heard cows. He knew what that cow was saying. Unreal.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Unreal. Some of these guys just speak elk, and that's just the bottom line.
That's why he makes elk calls.
You know what? And I went with my buddy Trent from High Prairie, and he's the same. He's an elk whisperer. He can just talk those things right into a perfect shot. I missed one with him. I actually hunted with him the first day. We hadn't even made a bugle yet. We were walking in the dark and came up on a bull. And I missed it just as the sun was cracking the sky, and just made a bad shot with my bow, and that was that. That was the opportunity. But I learned a lot throughout the day with him, just screwing around afterwards, trying to find another bull, and just to see how guys do it. Everybody walks in the bush differently, and it's just good to see, good to learn.
It's so important. So, are you hunting your sort of elk area or his area?
No, totally his area. His stomping ground.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's so important, man. And we went with our friend John bear hunting this spring, and my baits were dead. My luck, or my skill, not much of it. But the baits were decent early on in the season, and then they just died down. But I'm baiting an area where there's 50 other guys within 2 kilometers of me. So I went with him a few times, and right away, first sit, we had 3 bears come in, 2 hung out for the whole night, 3-4 hours, chasing each other around. That was really cool. And tried a new bait. Sure enough, a couple bears came in, and eventually I shot a bear. But again, just going with someone who's been doing this a little longer than you have is super important. And I encourage everyone now, even if you've hunted for a few years, or especially if you're new, just get out with someone and learn. And sometimes you gotta swallow your ego and just absorb it all. But and even sometimes go with someone who has the same experiences as you, just to
a lot of times I learn more from people that or maybe I just teach myself more from people that have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times I'm hunting with people that have, it's their first experience, and I'm walking them through it. Even my profession as guiding, a lot of times it's somebody's first northern hunt or first big game hunt. At least for an animal as big as a moose, something like that. And I'm always walking somebody through it. But I find that I'm like almost, reteaching myself or realizing things as I'm doing it. Sort of like, oh, that's,
yeah,
it's a good thing to sort of take note of.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, you're chasing moose all frickin' season pretty much.
Yeah, well, I've been chasing moose for a few years.
Yeah.
Trying to...
Remy, I'm as green as the grass outside right now.
Yeah, but you still got a check mark on the moose box.
I got one.
I don't.
I got one. Man, that was so cool. And getting the stand, and I think it was a couple hours I was in that stand, and I hear a little noise, some leaves crunching, and cow moose coming towards me, and I seen the bull, and me just not knowing what the hell I'm doing, let out a few grunts. Just some grunts, just some rah, rah. And sure enough, that cow came right under my stand. I have video of her licking my tree stand, the climbing sticks. I don't know if there was salt on my shoes or something, but she's licking the freaking climbing sticks. And that bull just followed her right in. And it just was perfect. A, B, C, bam.
Yeah.
Got him. But, I've been trying for moose for a while.
And with a bow.
And with the bow, yeah. Well, and
with a bow.
that's what I love about tree stand hunting is you can usually get those critters close enough where you can get a good shot with the bow, especially if you're filming. We can't, filming a spot and stock archery hunt, in my opinion, is without a doubt one of the hardest hunts to do, whether it's bear or deer or sheep, or I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's an easy animal to hunt. Filming a spot and stock archery hunt is extremely tough. So sitting in that stand,
especially
or in a blind,
self-filming.
that's what I mean. Self-filming. Yeah.
It's absolutely.
It's tough, very tough. And that's why I'm just spending time in the stand right now. I got to get it on film. Now I'm not, like I said, I'm probably not going to use the bow this week, and I'll use the rifle. But yeah, when you're filming, it adds a whole nother challenge onto everything. I've talked to a few guys from the Non-Typical Nation team, and they've a few guys missed some really nice missed opportunities, not necessarily missed the animal, but they blew chances because they're filming. You got to get that camera on that animal first.
Yep.
And so you got to spend an extra 30 seconds to get that camera focused in, make sure your mic's on, get that animal in frame, and then he moves 10 feet. So you got to move your camera, readjust everything, get ready to shoot, and hope he doesn't move and sits there for a bit.
And try and do it quietly.
Yeah, it's tough. But again, we love the struggle and we love sharing with people, and that's why we do it. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we film it.
Yeah. How do you like this Blazing Apple?
That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
It's the best coffee in town.
It is Blazing Apple by Old Smokes Coffee, guys. I got to say, we've got a treat for everyone. Kickstart your day with smoked coffee. That's right, smoked coffee. Old Smokes Coffee is revolutionizing the coffee industry with smoked coffee beans. My personal favorite is this Blazing Apple right here, or Sippin' Whiskey. Order yours at oldsmokescoffee.com and use promo code NONTYPICAL for 10% off your next order. What are you drinking right now?
Blazing Apple?
At home.
Oh, what do I got?
You out or what?
No, I still got a little bit
Sipping whiskey?
Why can't I remember it?
Stout
No,
maple?
no. It's the dark stuff, the moose.
You got the non-smoked.
Yeah, I'm trying non-smoke stuff right
Oh,
now.
yeah. So that's their, whatever they call it. Just a dark roast.
Yeah, it's the dark roast. Yeah.
I love this smoked stuff.
Yeah,
It's good.
It's really good. I'm out of the smoke stuff. We drank that stuff up so fast. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need cream or nothing. It's got a ton of flavor. It's good.
Oh, coffee's meant to be black, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, blacker the better. It's only good
I don't
if
mind a
you're-
little Bailey's in my coffee.
Well, but that stiffens it up. That's not.
Yes.
That's not like cream and sugar.
No, I know.
Coffee's only good if you can chew it.
If you can chew it. Yeah, if you get it
that's what we
stuck in
say.
your teeth
That's what we
and on the
say
side of a mountain when you're sheep hunting.
When you've been in the bush for a few days, coffee's
Yeah.
only good if you can chew it.
Yeah. So what are you chasing does now, or are you trying to get the girlfriend a buck, or
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get
moose,
the
or what are
girlfriend
you
a
guys
buck.
doing?
No, we're done moose hunting now. Moose hunting was a
You're
bust
done,
this
eh?
year. Yeah.
It's tough. This time of year, it's tough.
We were just totally predatored out this year. Yeah, everywhere we went, there was either wolves or cougars or people. It was a tough season for moose, both for me and for her. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do different next year to get after these bulls?
Next year, I think next year I'm gonna hit the river. I'm gonna try the other side of the zone, and
There's a major river system that goes through it, or
there's
what?
A big river goes
Really?
through it, yeah.
That's where you got to be.
Yeah.
How far do you have to travel to get to that from a main trail? Because you said there's limited access, right?
There's
in this
limited
zone?
access, but yeah,
So you're way up northern Alberta.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, north central Alberta. Yeah, and there's lots of access to the river though, and the river is on the. Well, I guess my zone is on the opposite side of all the civilization to the river, so you got to cross the river to be able to hunt on that side.
Okay.
So
The river
sort of
may get
borders
pressured
it.
though a bit though.
The
Like,
river might get pressure, yeah, but I just plan to work a little bit harder and get a little bit further away from where everybody is. And I know a guy with a jet boat, so
Nice.
yeah.
So it's so it's a big
Yeah.
enough
We're gonna go-
big enough river you can jet boat
oh, yeah.
up that.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit,
Yeah,
eh?
it's a big river. Yeah.
You mind sharing the name of the river?
Yeah.
No.
No, I'm sure it won't be hard to figure out. It's a pretty well
Really,
known,
eh?
pretty well known.
Because I
river.
think I'm pretty sure I looked at the map from your zone, and I don't recall seeing a river system going through. But interesting, huh? Wow, and that's an undersubscribed zone too.
It is,
And that's all we'll say about it.
Leave
Leave it at that. Leave it at that. But you know what? I was talking to a biologist this summer, a local one here in the Slave Lake area. Well, he's not the biologist. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. He was working with him, alongside him, with the aerial survey they did. They do 2 aerial surveys. As far as I know, I could be wrong, in the wintertime. So they'll do one, I think, in December, and then another one in January. And then they do an average of the 2 numbers. And he was telling me moose population is down as much as 45%. Here. South, north. But I have seen more bull moose in my stands south of town than I ever have before.
I've seen more bull moose
And I shot one.
totally around this area than I ever have in the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
And I've seen a few old ones, like some nice moose.
Really, eh?
Yeah, well, yeah. And I got a tag in my pocket, but it says the wrong freaking area
Yeah,
on it.
well, that's how it goes. I had a draw tag 3 years ago, up north there too, and I was very green and hunted quite a bit. Seen a bull, but it was on the wrong side of the highway in a different zone.
That's the way she goes. They can smell it on you.
I was crying. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. And, we always buy that general archery tag. I'm pretty sure most zones in Alberta offer a general archery moose tag. And you just never know when you're going to get lucky.
Yeah, you always got to have that tag in your pocket because we're always out chasing elk or whatever with the bows. And if big old bull moose steps out, you got to take it, especially in velvet. Moose with velvet is one of the most sought after animals. Trophy.
I'm stoked, man. I seen that thing in full velvet. I released that arrow. He bedded down. I climbed down to the stand. I gave him 20 minutes. I should have gave him an hour. I gave him 20 minutes, climbed down from the stand. He sees me, gets up and runs away. So I go home, have lunch, get my game bags, head back out, and sure enough, I found him. And I could not believe that I got a velvet moose. Sitting for a velvet whitetail, I got a velvet moose, just jacked right up. But again, getting back to where you said you always got to have that tag with you. We were elk hunting, Stephen Smith and I, and I think it was the last day of the general archery moose, 25th of September, or is it 26th?
Yeah, depending on where you are, it's the 25th. Yeah.
24th, I don't know, somewhere around there is the last day, and
sorry, it's the 23rd.
23rd,
Yeah.
24th is when the So, anyways, we're hunting, and it was a final morning elk hunting. Everything's dead. We hear sounds like a tree being beaten. And then we hear grunts. So we're like,
fucking
okay.
Sasquatches, hey?
At first, no, that's what I thought. I thought it was a Sasquatch because I've heard them before. But anyways, let's not get on that topic. So yeah, we hear a grunt. We're like, okay, let's play with this thing, and we called that sucker right into like 8 yards. Steven didn't have a tag. Well, he didn't have a bow with him either. He was just filming and calling for me. But if he would have, man, we could have went home with some meat. So I always spend I think it's $250 on tags. Just get everything you can.
Yep, everything.
You never know when you'll have that opportunity.
Everything. That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully I can get a deer down before season ends and have something to hang on the wall and some roast to share with the family and.
So
jerky.
Whether you get one or not, what would you do differently next year?
What would I do different next year?
Yeah. You think you're gonna hunt the stands lots, or you think you're gonna be on the move?
As long as I'm filming,
just whitetails.
I'm always gonna hunt stands.
Yeah. It just happens too fast when you're on the move.
Yeah, and the thing with whitetails, I find you got to commit so much time that you can't have another guy with you.
Yeah.
I can't have a guy filming with me because I'm spending 160 hours in the stand.
That's right.
Now, if we're going on an elk hunt for 4 or 5 days, we can have a few guys there. But when it comes to whitetails,
it's so hectic. You might just go for the afternoon.
I hate to say it
because
everyone kills them, but I feel that whitetails are some of the hardest animals to hunt.
Yeah, timber ghost.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But they are not easy. They are the most skittish animals you'll hunt. Next
they're
to some of the
smart.
predators like wolves and whatnot, but they're smart. They can hear a pin drop, and they know their backyard. So yeah, anyways, next year, what I'm thinking of doing once the season ends, I'm gonna go even further. Go even further in the bush, get away from all the trails, everything. Find a spot that isn't littered with wolf tracks. And
Good luck with that, by the way.
I know it. And it seems like the farther I get away from a trail, the less deer tracks there are and the more wolf tracks there are.
Yeah.
It seems like all the deer tracks are closer to a main trail, a main gravel road or something. And I always try and get far back. But anyways, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and go farther back. Try and get to an area that hasn't really been pressured too much. Because there's a lot of country out here. There's a lot of country. So I'm going to look at some, go on Google Earth or on the Geopack Hunt app and look at some maps, figure out an area and go farther back, set up some cameras and just try some new areas. I've been hunting these 3 spots for a few years now, and they just aren't producing like I would like them to. The stand is touch and go. Where my blind is, my other stand, I've been getting more hunters on the camera than I have deer, and that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good.
Like
that's definitely not good.
That is no. So I'm not even going. That's done. That is out of the question. Those cameras and everything's getting pulled, and we're going to a new spot. I'll keep this spot, but I'm going to try and go a little further back. That's what my plan is. And I'm always, as soon as archery season hits, I always try and get that first week to try and get a velvet whitetail. So I'll do that again. And then get into elk early on too. But that's my plan, is try and get a little further back this year, get a new area. Because I almost feel like I've seen everything this spot has to offer. I hate saying that. I hate saying it, but I've had this spot for this one with the stand's been about 5 years, and it just hasn't been anything spectacular and nothing coming through regularly, so I need to go further.
It's just the time to change it up.
I think
time
so.
To change it up.
Well, not now, but once the season's over.
Not now. Don't get crazy.
I've been
sometimes that's what it takes. I've
been contemplating to change it totally, like just right now this last week, but I can't.
Go where there's deer right now. Yeah.
Well,
don't get crazy.
Yeah. So, but So
what's your season look like next year?
Next year, so like I said, as soon as that archery season opens, that's velvet whitetail. I've been trying forever. Had a missed opportunity last year. A lot of missed opportunities.
It happens, man. It happens.
Yeah, and so that right away, and then we'll get into that archery elk. Probably go for 5-6 days. For me to take more than 5 or 6 days is really tough. So we'll probably go for 5. And then we were talking. We want to do that archery mule deer hunt.
I think that would be so much fun.
Yeah,
I would love to do some kind of open country mule deer hunt.
Yes,
especially with a bow.
We will. I think probably later in September. I'm leaning towards, but that's your moose season.
That's when you get into moose season. But
so we'll have to see. Days. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. And then my late November, I always reserve that for whitetails because I never get one in early season, and I don't think I'm drawing anything next year. Moose, I'm just gonna hold on to that. We still got that general archery tag, probably chase some moose too in there. Yeah. Great. But no sheep. I don't got. I'm too busy. I hate to say I don't have time for that because I wish I did, but I don't. But bear season. Yeah, bear
season's coming up.
It is.
It's already coming up. We got the
I love hunting
winter, but it's not that long.
Yeah, I love hunting elk, but I think bear season is my favorite time of year.
It's just a good starter for me. Like it's a good kick in the pants to get back into hunting for the year.
Yeah, I like it because it's nice weather. You aren't freezing in the stand in -20. It's nice weather. These animals are a ton of fun to hunt because they aren't skittish like a white-tailed deer, and you usually see quite a few of them.
Yeah. And you don't gotta get up at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, you hunt evenings. It's great.
But you hunt till 1 at night or 1 in the morning.
yeah. If you kill something late, you're there till. Oh yeah, you're there till 1 in the morning because legal light ends at like 10:30, 11 or something, right? So
like that.
So I can't wait for bear season. That's always a ton of fun. There are so many bears around here. I was talking with Fish and Wildlife here, a couple months ago now, but there's been more bear reportings in Slave Lake this year than ever before. It's a record number. I think they doubled it this year.
Wow.
And so I asked him, I said, what's the issue? Why are there so many bears? Guys are saying it's because the fires are pushing them in. What is it? And he said, not enough people are hunting bears. He said, there is so much land around here that is untouched. There's so many bears reproducing fast. And he said these boars are just pushing them out of their zones, their territory. And so they're coming to town.
Yep.
And they're safe,
And they're little
relatively.
ones. The little ones are the ones coming to town.
Oh, it's absolutely unreal. So I tell everyone that comes in the shop, I said, buy a bear tag. If you have the opportunity, take a bear. You don't have to keep the meat. You got to keep the hide. Yep. But hey, do your part. There's a lot of bears out there, especially around here. You got to control them. And that's why I have no issues taking 1 or 2 bears a year, because there is a lot of them.
There's too many. Yep.
Yeah. And we always make it a priority to take some of the meat for sure. This year we got.
Oh, I love bear meat. We always take our bears. You know right away walking up to a bear before you even open it up if it's gonna be stinky, if he's been in a trash diet, some kind of gross food. You know right away.
Yeah.
But most of the time, the bears are just eating vegetables and clover,
vegetable
and
oil and beavers.
Yeah, or bait. I do most of my bear hunting just spot and stalk. I don't hunt over baits as much as you do, for sure. But yeah, a lot of times it's dog food, and oats and popcorn and whatever else you can find.
I justify it by saying that's just a quick snack for those bears.
Oh, it is. Yeah, for sure.
This bear we shot this year is eating over KFC grease and beavers. So
yeah.
I don't know. I ate it anyways. I don't think I have trichinosis or anything. I cook my meat to 160, so
well,
I think I'm good.
You eat from KFC.
Yeah, I eat the same thing they're eating, so we should be
exactly.
good, right? Why not eat a little beaver every now and then, and whatever comes your way.
What about the color bears we got here?
We don't have any, man.
You don't have any color bears. You haven't seen any color bears?
My 5 or 6 years of baiting, I've had 1 blonde bear on my cameras.
Really? See, and I've had nothing but color at my cameras, and that's not far from your.
That's where we're going hunting next year, right?
Yeah. Sure. Sure, but I got that guy that put his bait 20 yards from mine.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
We should keep that for another podcast, because that's a good story.
That is a good story.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a couple different chapters of a story. That one.
Yeah. We got a few. We'll keep that to next. Well, do you want to wrap her up?
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
Let's do it. So anyways, we'll tell you guys what our plan is with this Non-Typical Nation podcast. We're trying to do a regular podcast that's going to run weekly, or at least something every 10 days. So please subscribe to this channel. We want to share our content with you. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. We're going to be interviewing a ton of different people. And we are pumped up about this. So please subscribe to our podcast and share it with your friends. Tell everyone how amazing it is. And awesome, guys. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate that big time.
This podcast is also brought to you by Primal Adventures, Outfitting and Guide Services. We're the next generation of professional guiding and outfitting. I have full service Alberta moose hunts, rut and late season. I also do specialty guiding for moose, black bear, whitetail deer, and wolf. So if you guys know anybody, preferably not a resident of Alberta, hit up Primal Outfitting on Instagram, Facebook. Check us out. Primal Adventures Outfitting and Guide Services.